Tons of news to talk about today, but let's start with this. I know so many people are hungry for that next generation of graphics cards. What's coming next from AMD and NVIDIA? Well, we do have something interesting today. This is a leaked benchmark, but by leaked, I don't mean some random post to Twitter. I actually mean on Geekbench. So we actually have a Geekbench result showing up in the Geekbench database for an AMD RX 8000 RDNA 4 GPU. Now, it doesn't quite say that there, so we'll dig into this a little bit here. Again, the headline saying 56 compute units clocked at 2.1 gigahertz. That sounds kind of low, and 16 gigabytes of VRAM. So another important thing to note here is that the overall score is incredibly low. So the videocards.com article on this, I'll have all my sources linked in the video description. There's a bunch of sites reporting on this same, Geekbench result. Anyway, what you can see here, though, is that if you actually stack these scores, and there's multiple scores here, this was ran multiple times and uploaded to Geekbench, they're reaching about 15 or 16% of the performance of a 7900 XTX. Now, that's incredibly low from what you would expect from a next-generation graphics card, even if this doesn't end up being one of the highest-end ones. However, what that's more likely an indication of is, currently people are expecting us to hear about RDNA 4 around, CES, so like early next year. And if that's the case, we're still very early on from that point. So assuming that this is, a real product being tested right now, this could be an early engineering sample or qualification sample running on, early software. We don't know why it's being ran through this Geekbench test. Are they just checking for some issues in a certain environment? Right. I wouldn't read too much into the actual score, is what I'm trying to say. I should also mention that it is technically possible to fake Geekbench results getting uploaded to their database. So, take that for what it is as well. But as far as where's all this information actually coming from, here is the information available on the Geekbench database for this GPU running through this. So notice, for one thing, it doesn't say RX 8000 series, it doesn't say RDNA 4, so how are people running with those headlines? The key is the device name being GFX 1201, and notice the 1.2 right there. The previous generation would have been 1.1. I think the RDNA 3.5 stuff is listed as 1.1.5. I might have to double check on that one. Maybe one of these articles mentions that. They actually this videocards.com article does have that here. So yeah, this should make it pretty clear. 101 was RDNA 1, 103 was RDNA 2, 1.1 and then fill in the blank was RDNA 3, 1.15 was RDNA 3.5, so RDNA 4 would make sense to be 1.20 and then fill in the blank at the end. So that's how we're going with RDNA 4. Also, notice this says 28 compute units, but what we're seeing in these headlines are saying 56 compute units, and that's because the Geekbench here is probably reporting the work group processors as 28, and there would be 2 actual compute units per work group processor, and that's where we're getting this 56 number. Notice we are also, again, seeing the max reported frequency is 2100 megahertz, which again seems pretty low. Something like a 7900 XTX, seeing it shoot as high as 3000 megahertz isn't off the table, although oftentimes it is less. So the point is that this is pretty low. So again, another indication that this is not a fully ready product running at its full capacity. And then again, we're seeing the 15.9 gigabytes of VRAM was available for Geekbench, meaning, it would make sense for this to be a 16 gigabyte graphics card. And again, with the 28 compute unit, workgroup processors indicating 56 compute units, based on the earlier kind of leaks we've seen and what the rumor mill is suggesting, this wouldn't be the highest end chip. I think that one's reported to probably be 64 compute units. So this would be one that's a little bit cut down. So I wish we had a little more to go off of than what we have here, because again, while we do get a benchmark result, like I said, this doesn't look like that would indicate the actual performance of this product. But anyway, hopefully this means, that we'll start getting more and more leaked benchmark results and stuff coming soon. Again, we are expecting, we've seen previously that AMD partners have mentioned that they're focused on RDNA 4 right now. And again, we're expecting, maybe CES for the reveal, but again, that's just rumors at this point. We don't know for sure. Now, are there any RTX 50 leaks and rumors? What's the latest info on that? The latest thing I can find are headlines talking about NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5060 laptop GPU to consume lower power than Ada, features GDDR7 and RTX 4070 level performance. Okay, so every time you see a headline on a GPU that's not really announced yet, then where is that information actually coming from? So this is a WCCF Tech article, but they're gathering the information from a post by Golden Pig Upgrade Pack, who has actually leaked a lot of products accurately ahead of time, so likely does have some information, and also is saying that, showing even a screenshot here saying that it's Wu Haijun, chairman of Shenzhou. I've probably butchered all this pronunciation, my apologies. Anyway, the next generation of notebook N cards, so NVIDIA cards, will use GDDR7 video memory, and the power consumption of 60 level cards will be greatly reduced from 140 watts to 115 watts. Is it the first year of thin and light gaming laptops? Question mark. Anyway, so that's where the information is coming from. And I'll also mention that this kind of corroborates other information we've seen laptop makers kind of leak in the past. Because a while back, and we've seen, I think this is from videocards.com, Clevo, who manufactures a whole bunch of laptops, and I think a lot of other laptop makers kind of slap their name branding on a Clevo design. But anyway, the point is that they had already kind of leaked this information out in the past, actually talking about the power reduction of the mid-range and lower tier GPUs for the next generation. If you look into this chart, what they're showing here is with the 4000 series products, you saw the 4090 and 4080 both at 175 watt max GPU TGP. And then you can also see the min numbers and max numbers and whatnot for the total graphics. Anyway, the point is, here you're seeing that the 4090 class equivalent for the next generation, which here is just being shown as X11, is still at 175. The one that is lining up with being the not predecessor, sorry, not predecessor, geez, the 4080 is the predecessor to the next generation, probably 80 class laptop chip. There we go. You're seeing that that's going from 175 down to 140. And then we're seeing here, from 150 down to 115 for the X7 we're seeing here. Anyway, and then if we look down at the lower end ones here, we're seeing the 4070, 60, and 50 showing that with max TGPs at 140, and these all dropping down to 115 for the X6, X4, and X2 here. So anyway, the point is, it does just seem to be kind of corroborating what we'd seen earlier, which is that the laptop chips for next generation, anything beyond that kind of maximum, 90 class or whatever they end up calling it, performance tier, is probably going to be running at lower powers. And again, with also, again, showing the GDDR7 memory. And hopefully we get a good performance boost out of that. Anyway, I'm really hoping the 50 series is a big performance boost generation. We'll have to see what happens, because the 40 series was maybe, call it a feature generation with frame gen, and not as big of performance jumps in a lot of the price classes. Anyway, another big headline that that we're seeing today is AMD Ryzen 9000 Zen 5 and Ryzen 7000 Zen 4 CPUs managed to bag double-digit performance gains with Windows 11 24H2 update. So this is not a surprise to people who've been following tech stuff for the last week or so, because in the aftermath of the 9000 series CPU reviews, we saw that AMD's performance claims weren't really lining up to what reviewers were actually saying. And then AMD had a recent, community blog post talking about those issues. And one thing they mentioned is that in their admin mode testing, they were seeing better results than in standard Windows user installs, which is what most reviewers and actual users, consumers of the product would be using. However, they claimed that in Windows 11's 24H2 update, that would be fixed, basically. And really it's coming down to, they're saying it's better branch prediction compatibility. Like, you can do better branch prediction, you get big performance gains. Now, naturally people have been testing this. So we're seeing this WCCF Tech article referring to hardware unboxed testing. But I've also noticed that it looks like Kit Guru also has a video out testing fewer games, but actually more processors on this update with the 24H2, which you can access through a Windows Insider build. Now, it does appear to be the case that in many games, there are noticeable improvements to the 9000 series processor's gaming performance. However, what reviewers like Kit Guru and Hardware Unboxed have been pointing out is that it's not just the 9000 series that's seeing performance gains. Notice, for example, the 7800X3D, which is the top-end gaming chip, and the 9000 non-X3D parts didn't unseat its crown, is also, in this test, for example, in Total War Pharaoh, jumping from 240 to 263. So what you're seeing here is that actually this is really good news for everyone with a Zen processor. It looks like this Windows update could have significant gaming performance boosts to your processor. Hey, there's some awesome fine wine. However, what it doesn't do is make Zen 5 look any better versus Zen 4, because they're achieving a similar performance uplift. At least one class of them are. It looks like Hardware Unboxed tested a massive number of games with the 7700X against the 9700X. And they saw that the 7700X gained 10% performance on average in their huge set of games tested, and the 9700X gained 11%. So it was only a 1% difference. And in other words, the overall performance uplift between the 9700X and the 7700X is really not changed in any meaningful way. So Zen 5 is still underwhelming compared to Zen 4. But the really interesting question in all of this is, will Intel's results boost in the same way with this update? Because if they don't, then that means that while this means Zen 5 isn't really that exciting compared to Zen 4, it does mean that all AMD CPUs might stack up better against their Intel counterparts, which would be really cool for AMD users to just suddenly get this big boost in performance. Now, in the Hardware Unboxed video, Steve did mention he is going to be testing the 14700K to put into the same kind of data set and all of that. But the amount of testing he's doing is a massive number of games. Could take him a week or so to get that out there. So that's what I'm really interested to see. And if it does show up that, on those 7 class, with the 7700, 9700, and the 14700K, that the AMD parts, were doing better, I'd be really interested to see another face-off of like top-end gaming chips, like the 7800X3D, which also seems to be gaining some performance boost here in Kit Guru's testing. Up against like the 14900K. And also, what does that mean about when we start getting, the next generation of Intel chips and get those reviews out there? Because I guess everybody will need to get some updated testing for their AMD products if you want to get a fair comparison based on what it is now. But right now, I still don't think this makes the 9000 series any more exciting, because as you can see, what's topping all of these charts? The 7800X3D, and this is still the case after this Windows update. And also the 7800X3D has seen prices drop as low as $333 recently, and it's still noticeably the fastest gaming processor, so it's just really hard for the 9000 series to try to compete with that. That being said, the 9000 series prices seem to be dropping very quickly. We've already seen prices slash looks like up to 12% in Germany, comparing to according to videocards.com here, and the 9950X price dropping to $623, and 9900X down to $449 in the US. So we're seeing prices slashed, but the point is, at least for gaming, if the 9000 series isn't much faster than the 7000 series, it really needs to reach at least price parity with the 7000 series for there to be much of a reason to buy it over the 7000 series. Now, the other thing you might be waiting for is, okay, well, the 9000 series X3D parts, when will those be coming out? Are they going to be any good? Well, we did see that Asus, in quotation marks on the videocards.com article here, accidentally listed the Ryzen 9000 X3D series when they listed their AMD 800 series motherboard microsite, and that it's just referenced all over the place on the page. However, none of it actually has a release date. So we still don't know exactly when we will be getting the 9000 X3D parts, but it's looking like, according to the latest rumors, it might not be until January. Initial rumors had been maybe they'd be a lot sooner, but it's possible maybe AMD had to slow things down behind the scenes based on the 9000 series. We actually saw the initial launch get delayed a bit, review embargoes pushed back, and then performance didn't seem to be in alignment with AMD's expectations. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had maybe initially planned a sooner launch, but are maybe now going to be double checking everything's where they want it to be behind the scenes. But then again, if the 9000 series non-3D parts aren't selling, and that really does seem to be the indication based on sites where we can see any indication of sales figures, maybe AMD needs to get these out soon to start actually selling stuff. I don't know. Or maybe they're hoping to sell the non-3D parts before they launch the 3D parts. There's a lot of reasons why they may have delayed this, but you can't really delay something that was never officially announced anyway. But compared to rumors, which maybe been what people had been expecting behind the scenes, maybe things were changed. Now, how about, speaking of those motherboards, right, the 800 series motherboards, when can we expect those? Well, it is looking like AMD's X870E motherboard reviews, the reviews at least, should be expected on September 30th. Now, this is in a videocards.com article, but where are they getting that information from? So it's saying that after a full showcase at Gamescom, companies are now preparing for the launch for next month. Looks like Kenny it looks like a Bilibili result, specifically said, I finally received the new X870 series motherboard, which is designed to work with the AMD Ryzen 9000 series processors according to AMD's official schedule on August 20th, 2024. I can only do an unboxing and provide a basic overview of the specs without powering it on. The embargo on sharing any actual usage experiences lifts on September 30th, 2024. So please don't ask for any performance insights before then. Anyway, so the 800 series motherboards looks like September 30th, according to AMD, for an embargo on that information. Now, right now we have AMD kind of competing against themselves with the 7 series, with a lot of people kind of hesitant on the 13th and 14th gen parts from Intel, which have all the stability issues. Yes, there's a microcode update. We'll have to kind of see long-term how that goes. But what about the next gen series of Intel processors, which would at least, fingers crossed, hopefully not have the same stability issues and all of that? But when will we get them? It's looking like Intel's Core Ultra 200K series, because again, it's not going to be called the 15th gen. So if you're looking out for the 15th gen, nope, you're going to get the Intel Core Ultra 200K series. Along with their Z890 motherboards are rumored, so this is still rumored, but rumored to launch on October 17th. This is another videocards.com article, but they're citing a source from Board Channels, where the quote is, it is confirmed that Intel's new generation motherboard platform, Z890 series, new products will be officially launched on October 17th. And it's looking like Arrow Lake S launch dates are looking like October 10th for the Core Ultra 200K and Z890 announcement, with October 17th being the actual launch. And then it looks like the non-K parts coming in Q1 of 2025. So we'll have to see what we get out of this. Intel has, it'll be interesting to see if we at least, dial back, all the power consumption from the previous generation. But I'm not convinced we'll be able to see both a huge performance uplift and getting power numbers under control. I have a feeling it would be one or the other, and more likely getting the efficiency under control. And again, hopefully none of these stability problems. Intel's going to have to rebuild some trust, I think. So we'll have to see what they deliver on this and if it can convince anybody. But AMD certainly made their job easier by not really offering any gaming performance gains with the 9000, at least non-3D parts. We'll have to see what the 3D parts are able to do. Now, also with the next gen of Intel, at least in their mobile chips, which would be Lunar Lake, we're going to be getting the Xe2 graphics. That would be what we do expect to see in Battlemage next generation Intel Arc products. So we are seeing the Intel graphics driver now supporting Xe2 graphics and Arc 140V and 130V being confirmed. So again, doesn't really give us a whole lot of information about them and what kind of that performance would look like. But it will be interesting to see how these products do stack up and especially how the mobile GPUs do up against AMD's latest mobile GPUs, because AMD again has come out with their Ryzen AI 9 HX 370 platform. Looks like the first mini PC with the 65-watt AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX 370 has been tested for 1080p 60 FPS gaming. This coming from videocards.com article, but they're referencing data gathered by ETA Prime. And you can see a bunch of the overall, performance numbers there. I will say that a bunch of these are using FSR pretty aggressively balanced at 1080p. Doesn't look great, and some of them also using FrameGen, 50% res scaling. Again, so able to get pretty playable performance numbers out of these. But again, if you were on a reasonably sized monitor, it would look pretty pixelated. But again, it's pretty impressive that integrated graphics these days actually can play the latest games, even pretty graphically demanding AAA games, if you turn the settings down far enough and use upscaling and FrameGen and all of that. But anyway, they can play a pretty, reasonable performance numbers, even if the, game's gonna look a little pixelated like that. Now, in some quicker pieces, I can say that MSI apparently has a World of Warcraft edition GPU coming out, which is maybe not going to actually go on sale for people to buy. So sorry if you were excited about that. It's looking like this is going to be for events, a Blizzard World of Warcraft 20th anniversary event. And so it will probably be featured as prizes. Looks like there's 10 different half backplates, and that can be connected to create custom mosaics, which is pretty interesting. I mean, some of these do look pretty cool, but like I said, it's looking like you might have to try to win these through a World of Warcraft Memories event, and might not be able to actually buy them, although you never know. Now, we're also seeing Star Wars Outlaws I'll talk about that one a little bit later. Let's talk about the PS5 Pro. So PlayStation 5 Pro is launching this year, according to rumors. There's been some doubt on whether that would get kind of pushed off until later, but it's looking like at this point there'll be probably by the end of September some sort of announcement talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, which would be pretty interesting. Certainly, I think more interesting than what Xbox has on offer with just like a diskless Series X and 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Edition. Yay! Anyway, I'm interested in what the PS5 Pro ends up actually being able to do. Now, in PC gaming news again, real quick, we'll see that Steam has reached a new concurrent player record with 37 million. And it's looking like Black Myth Wukong has probably had a lot to do with that. And I love TechSpot's, sub-headline here with absolutely no help from Sony's Concord. So if you want to see a tale of two different Steam charts lists, let's take a look at this. So Black Myth Wukong has been seeing crazy peak player count numbers, especially for single-player games. And now it has been out for a number of days as well. But we're still seeing, like right now, I'm seeing 220,000 players, the all-time peak of over 2 million, the 24-hour peak of over 2 million. So definitely doing quite well there, whereas Concord, for a online multiplayer game, has seen a peak player count of under 700. And if I wanted to play this game right now, I would be one of only 244 players on Steam. And its player count has dipped as low as looks like 138. That's pretty brutal. So anyway, so Concord, not looking good for the PC launch there. Now, speaking of other games releasing soon and stuff, I'm actually interested in what you guys would want me to cover on the channel if I want to do any performance testing. We do have, like I said, Final Fantasy 16 PC demo is out now and the game's coming out later. I did a video talking about some of the issues I had with the demo, and I will note that there's already been a patch. So I am curious if you guys are interested in me testing the patch for Final Fantasy 16 demo, because I mean, it is still just a demo. However, it says they've addressed dynamic resolution being locked on the lowest setting, enemies not appearing properly in certain battle content, graphics not displaying properly in certain stages, graphical tearing in certain instances when using borderless full screen. Sound effects not playing properly. Anyway, there's a bunch of fixes here. Other minor issues. Anyway, so I am curious. Also, we do have official drivers from AMD and NVIDIA now. So I'm curious if you guys would be interested in me jumping back into Final Fantasy 16 testing on the demo and see how that goes, maybe on some other GPUs, maybe an RTX 3060 or something like that. Another game I'm interested in taking a look at soon is the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 open beta. Well, I guess the open beta comes later. First, if you pre-order the game, which I'd probably do for benchmarking anyway, to get early access for that. The Black Ops 6 beta is available soon. Now, there is a system requirements list available for the open beta as well. And that's what I had up here. It doesn't look like anything too crazy, and it's just a minimum and recommended, and they don't really even tell you what the performance targets are for any of that. So anyway, it looks like the minimum GPU is a GTX 960 or a 1650 or a Radeon RX 470. And the recommended specs are a 1080 Ti, 3060 or 6600 XT or Intel Arc A770. Still gonna need a whole bunch of hard drive space because it's Call of Duty, although they've reported recently they're working on improving on that. And if you already have COD HQ and Warzone installed, it looks like you would only need 78 gigabytes, so at least that's something. Anyway, so let me know if you guys are interested in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 testing. Also, let me know if you're interested in Star Wars Outlaws testing, because it looks like reviews are out, and then the game, if you pre-order it, is available tonight. Although some people are already playing it. I think they did the New Zealand trick where if your Xbox goes to New Zealand via a VPN, you could get early access a little bit earlier. But anyway, so it's looking like the reviews are, you know, okay-ish, nothing amazing. I was curious, but I haven't played it myself, but I'm also curious on the PC performance. So if you guys are interested in PC performance on Star Wars Outlaws, maybe let me know in the comment section, and perhaps I will try to get that in. I'm also back to teaching full-time again, starting, it was actually today. I'm filming this after work, so don't have students for another week, but getting classrooms set up and lesson plans ready and all of that. So I am pretty busy this week, but I would still like to maybe get some testing done and all that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Hope you guys found the video useful and or interesting. If you appreciate the news and benchmarks and whatnot that I do on the channel, consider hitting the join button down below to directly support the channel financially. That you get access to, you know, members badges on your comments, early access to some content, and some behind the scenes content that doesn't make sense to post on the full channel and all of that. So anyway, huge thank you to everybody who's done that. Still appreciate everybody who hasn't. Totally understand. Viewers, subscribers, commenters, all of you are beautiful people, and I hope everybody has an excellent day.